Hello YouTube, this is Zero. I am back with another video. Today I've got 21 screenshots to go over, and I'm going to do this kind of quick because there's not much information, but here you see the Banshee. This is actually the car they're giving away in real life. There's a real life rendering of this, or rather a real life creation of this car, and they're giving that away for a GTA 5 launch, I'm assuming. Of course you can see another Banshee in front of it with a spoiler on it. Car to the left, I'm not sure, but that's just a little bit of the customization you can have in the game. Next up we have Trevor. It looks like he's either helping or running away from the sheriff, but assuming the sheriff looks to have a shotgun or assault rifle of some sort pointed at him with a flashlight, because we've actually seen the flashlight on a shotgun before with Franklin shooting some guy in one of his trailers. And then of course in the top right you see a truck, but there's not much else here other than the fact that it is the sheriff and there's a sheriff car, and it's not a truck like it is in the city, so it must be somewhere in like Blaine County. Next up we have some sort of car. I'm assuming it's a Super GT or a Super something, maybe a Turismo, I'm not quite certain. But it is a cool looking car that I will probably be modding in game. It is chasing or following this airliner jet. It looks like a 747. I hope you can fly that. It does look like you can, because I have heard from IGN in a recent video that they were going to fly a plane, and they said, yeah, go ahead and get in it, and they didn't have time to actually go out and get in the plane. But it does look like that cop car right there that says 84 was hit by it. I'm curious if all the cop cars in this game are going to say 84 or they're going to say 69 or what, because I remember in the previous games they all said 69. But next screenshot we have of the V in Vinewood. There's some kind of explosion happening on the bottom right. You can see a couple paths and roadways into the rolling hills, and of course the fog all over the city. Next up, you've got Trevor in a crop duster flying over what looks like the trailer that was in one of his trailers. I think it was actually the first trailer that introduced all three characters. If you look on the left, it looks like there's a car either coming towards him, or there's just a car sitting there that's broken down. Maybe you can fix it, I'm not sure. But it does look really cool that there's not really a flat ground here. The river looks really nice, the water does, I mean. And of course, I do like that there is no flat ground. It's kind of rocky everywhere. You couldn't take a car on this terrain and just kind of run it everywhere. You might fall down that mountain really, really fast with a car, and I'll probably do that, honestly. But it's unlikely you'll just take the car over there without taking some sort of road. Next up we have a crop duster. I'm assuming Trevor's flying. I'm not quite certain. I think he's got a headset on. And then he's flying over some sort of plantation or something like that. It's got its own water tower, so maybe it's just some sort of plant. Maybe there looks like there's towers. Maybe it's some sort of bounty hunter place. And then to the left you can see the Vinewood sign again with that communications tower. And of course you can see a mountain in the background. Next up we have that car again doing a stunt jump. It looks like this cop may be stopping, so he doesn't do the stunt jump because he is turning to the left to maybe stop, or, you know, actually not jump over it, because maybe they're a little bit smarter in this game. And that car does look like it says 58, so all the car numbers are not going to be the same. Police car also looks a little bit different here than it does in Blaine County, because you're in the city. But that's all I can notice about this. Next up we have Trevor in the red plane here. You can see the landing gear out. You can click your stick to, well, I think it's clicking your stick to actually extend and lower the landing gear, and then of course you can click it again to raise the landing gear. It looks like he's coming out of a big explosion. I'm assuming this to actually be a plane, because if you look down into the middle, it looks kind of like the middle of the plane that's actually broken off and exploded. So that's a pretty cool explosion, that it's actually a little bit bigger. Here is actually kind of an ugly car to me. Sorry if you like it, but it just looks really stupid to me. I don't think I'll be customizing this car, especially not like this. But you can see the bullets in the background. You can see cab, I think that says. I'm not sure what the rest of those say, but there's some graffiti, and there's kind of an interesting thing in the top right, kind of. Well, it's actually kind of the middle right, but you can see like some sort of roller coaster or train track or something like that. Next up we have Michael standing in front of a car loading his gun. What's interesting here is the trunk is open, and in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, I remember myself, there was a screenshot where he was putting a basketball in the trunk and a baseball bat, and he had been putting stuff in the trunk, and then he closes his trunk and you go out to the mission. I think it was actually in one of the missions where the screenshot was taken from. But it's kind of interesting. Maybe you can actually open your trunk this time. But, you know, we've been kind of deceived before, like I said on that previous screenshot. But maybe you can open the trunk and put people in it. If you shoot someone and you don't want them to find the body, you can put them in the trunk, or throw it in the river, whatever you want to. Maybe you can pick up bodies. That's an interesting thing. Here we've got Michael on his phone talking to someone, just sitting in his car, either waiting for someone or watching this jet take off. I'm assuming he's maybe informing someone of the jet taking off, but that's just an assumption. I don't really see anything else that's interesting in this image. Next up we have Michael. I'm assuming a lot of things, but I'm assuming that he is just waiting for someone in the sewers. It actually looks like he's kind of talking to someone. Something interesting is that the lights actually have a bit of detail to them this time, and they're just not lights, of course. There is a confirmation from Rockstar where you can actually turn your lights on and off. I do think it's by like holding right on the D-pad. But this car looks nice. You can see something that says FAM in the background. What I'm assuming says thief, but the FAM probably stands for families, as in Grove Street Families, which is just the gang for Grove Street. Next up we have the Marines helicopter. It's just got dual rotors. I'm not actually sure what the name for it is. Please tell me in the comments if you know. I'm not really good with those things, but I do like to fly helicopters. It'd be interesting if you could lower that back hatch and maybe put a car or motorcycle, or just have people walk up in there, and that would just be kind of cool. Here we've got a police chase. Looks like there's a chopper flying overhead an Infernus. I think that looks like an Infernus. And then the cops are just chasing him around. That's probably Franklin or maybe Trevor, honestly, no telling what Trevor's done. But you can see the Vinewood sign here, and it looks pretty high up, actually. It looks a lot different than it does in the other screenshots, where it looks like it's level with a lot of things. But it is on this mountain pretty high up, and that's a pretty cool screenshot to see. Of course, here is Franklin on the Carbon RS bike. I don't think it's that special. I think it's just the carbon part is making it special. But he is being chased by the police, and there's not really much detail in this screenshot. Next up, we have a screenshot of the water by the pier. I keep forgetting what that's called. I do know it's the Vespucci Beach. I think that's how you say it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they're getting on some sort of boat. This looks like the one similar to GTA 4. It actually looks like waves and not just some weird kind of texturing detail. The clouds also look kind of interesting, and they're kind of floated out and not all together like they normally would in real life. But, you know, I like that little detail from Rockstar. Next up, we have Trevor jumping off of a plane. This was also in the trailer, so it's just kind of a freeze frame, and he's just jumping off that plane as something to the left of the plane is actually exploding. It's not actually the plane itself, or he would probably be dead. I think he causes its explosion because he is shooting, but it is kind of interesting to see he's running across a plane. But it is Trevor, and he is crazy. Next up, we have Trevor again. He is in a lot of these screenshots, but he's just on the ATV. I do believe the screenshot we have seen before, but this is kind of a zoomed out version of that screenshot. He's maybe in a race or following this person. I'm not quite certain. Next up, we have Trevor again busting into the car. It's kind of interesting because they did say that they have different ways of breaking into vehicles and holding people up and things like that. And Trevor looks like he's bleeding and he's got scratches all over him. Actually, it doesn't look that bad, but, you know, it's GTA, so he's probably not going to bleed at all and just break the window, but, you know, it doesn't look like that window stood a chance. Here we have Trevor again waiting in some sort of car. There's a cop drinking coffee. Trevor's watching him pretty well. Trevor's probably going to back into him if someone doesn't come out of the prison at some time. He's probably waiting for Michael to come out of the prison and it's some sort of mission. Next up, we have Trevor driving 18-wheelers. So 18-wheelers are confirmed, although we did see these in the latest trailer, I believe. It may have been the second one, I think. But it does look like this truck is hitting this street light, and it's got some sort of trailer on it as well. I don't know if it's chasing this car. That car is just in the screenshot, but it does look like Trevor maybe is stealing this truck. It'd be kind of interesting if you can open the back of the truck as well. And that's all the screenshots for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please